So as mentioned, JC is our VP of Growth, and unfortunately he couldn't make it today. But I am taking over, and I think I do have some expertise in speaking about how clients, firms, auditors, and internal auditors alike have embraced AI and explored those challenges for adoption. I was hire number 11, and that was about 2016. So now we're a staff of 120. So I've been with the team for some time and really got the great opportunity to navigate a lot of this with our clients and our team. And here to talk to you about preparing your firm or your organization towards using AI and the future of it. So it was pretty clear 2 years ago that AI is changing everything. We know very much that data is exploding and everyone is starving for guidance on how to leverage those insights. So something that we learned pretty quickly was how do you start being curious, being open to that change, and to explore what that journey looks like. First question, well, why? Why would I be doing this, and understanding what's in it for me? So AI obviously automates a lot of laborious tasks, enables our team to be more effective in what they're doing. I hear the term agility and the ability to react, but what does that mean? If we're doing something more complex than we ever were before, if it's not done manually, we have much more time to actually take that information and do something valuable with it. So being able to take those insights, applied either in our own organization or those of our clients, helps us to address a couple of things that are actually human challenges, not so much related to the technology. So a bit of a perspective change. Bias is inherently human. The disclosure of information with systems that aren't constructed properly is also another aspect, the application of ethics, and also a concept of the black box. So for us, we see that as a perception. And so what we do is try to help clients understand what questions to ask if you're evaluating any technology, and also to really understand how something is built. So the black box of AI, looking at how a system is built, how bias can potentially be applied to the interpretation of those results, but having an understanding of that and really challenging the status quo of working more closely with the developers of these platforms. I mean, we're one that does that, but I think that a number of software companies are now embracing that kind of two-way feedback. So definitely encourage you to do the same. It's also, in a lot of cases, a better alternative than relying on human bias alone. We apply actually 180 human biases on the regular without even realizing it. Of course, the background of a client, our understanding of the kindest people in our offices, we allow a lot of room for bias, which can be a good thing. But paired with data, which is unbiased, how can we make better decisions and improve our professional judgment? And how does that help organizations? So a stat that I just learned recently was actually that 50 is the average age of an audit partner, whereas 43 is the average age of an advisory partner. And currently, today, the 4-to-1 ratio are number of staff members per retirees. In 2030, it'll be 2-to-1. So how do we help those individuals have the same tribal knowledge? And personally, starting in a startup, because I was so early on, having that tribal knowledge has not only been valuable to me, but sharing it across the organization in exponential growth and changes, it can be really difficult. So how do we help these different people in different organizations evolve? And not just look at an audit as a point in time, which often and unfortunately it is, but evolve the value of that. What did we gain? And make it something that is much more advisory. We see the new pool of talent that are really eager for this. They're asking for it. This is one of the reasons why MindBridge is actually invested in an education program. We work with, I think we're up to 53 universities across the US alone to help equip folks with the skills to understand how these are going to impact their world. And they really get excited about it. They demand it, actually. And we've actually seen cases where they're asking firms are using these types of technologies because for their career, they're demanding, but I think in a great way because they have much more to contribute than perhaps the ticking and tying of previous generations. It also helps us to overcome what can often be an issue with temporary staff and putting a lot of pressure on the intermediary staff that have to work with folks that maybe don't have the same experience or familiarity with those existing clients as well. We see this as an opportunity to smooth out that seasonality and actually take this whole concept of efficiency to something of capacity and capability. Being able to do more with less. I know that's a pressure I'm sure we're all under, but actually being able to open up different opportunities to do with that time. There's another concept that I hope you guys will take away when we hear the term artificial intelligence. I think the concept to get excited about is augmented intelligence. If we're able to do more with less time, we're also able to focus our skills that are inherently human, that aren't about, say, calculations, but it's about empathy, about connecting with your clients, about context, and also adding more value to those relationships, as it were. So we believe that AI will not replace humans. As mentioned, it will augment it. And we also see in cases, and I'm sure we'll be speaking with Samantha a little later on, that it's firms that do use AI that may eventually replace those that aren't evolving at the same pace. However, we see great opportunity, obviously at MACPA, to share those insights so folks aren't so maybe intimidated or a little unsure about how that can work for them, to see real examples in big firms and small. Helping move their staff away from being number crunchers, knowledge workers, which I don't know about you, but in my career as well, that's a lot more exciting, a lot more room for growth. And what it also helps firms to understand is there a component of liability that we could be avoiding in these cases? We're seeing that some different precedents set, not only in healthcare, but also in the legal community about if you had access to these things and you could have provided superior professional judgment, why didn't we? And so we're trying our best to help make that more accessible to you so you don't have to ask yourself that question or be in that scenario. And why should you care? I think among a number of reasons, understanding that this is actually happening much sooner than we thought. I'll go back a second. There's a really great book, Fourth Industrial Revolution, that actually came out in 2016, where those projections are actually happening a lot sooner than we realize. And I think that's exciting, but also might encourage you to look at these things much earlier than you had perhaps thought. And some of the reasons why we do this is with examples of understanding the risk profile of your organization or that of your clients, how that actually factors into how you can provide greater service to them, and also getting more comprehensive evidence as you go through. Skilled and motivated staff are obviously much more creative problem solvers and provide a better service to your clients. And here are a number of ways that you can get started. I mean, this is part of why JC and I are here today, to have these conversations with you. I'd love to hear your feedback about it, or if you've explored some of these different options, facilitating the conversation, staying curious and open to these different changes can really help you do that. So in all, it's not just JC that believes this, but our whole organization believes that every organization has a right to understand the data within their organization and make informed decisions. And so we're happy to talk with you about what stage of that journey you're in. Thank you. And saw a hand. Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit small. Do you mind?
You got time. No,
okay.
You go right ahead.
Sure. So there was a thought that there was going to be a tipping point that 30% of audits were going to be completed by AI. Now, I might adjust this a little bit to say that you can never completely remove the human from that. There's always an element of professional judgment, but such a significant component of that could be quote unquote automated. And so there was a thought that that would have occurred by 2025, and we're seeing that potentially that may occur much earlier than 2025, given some of the statistics about client adoption of some of the major firms, not only in the US, but globally, that this could happen much sooner. Does that answer your question? Oh, yeah. Sure. So it speaks about the inflection point when it comes to adoption, but also the readiness of technology to do that. So as opposed to where we thought it was going to be a little bit later, this is small, apologize, but that inflection point being at 2022 potentially, and again, these are all forecasts, a difference of a couple years can make a really big difference. I mean, only 2 years ago did we think we were introducing it to a market and we thought it would be affecting the entire market much later. It's actually happened much faster. And the same projections that were thought to have happened in 2030 have happened actually even 5 years earlier than we thought. So I think that's really exciting. But also with change comes a little bit of intimidation. So education and awareness has kind of been a great focus point for us of helping firms know how to get started. Any other questions while I'm here? If you do have any and you want to talk one-on-one a little bit later, I'm here for the rest of the conference, so I'd be happy to do that.
She's here. All right, thank you, Danielle.